Hi again, welcome back to the Spirit Lounge. I hope you guys are doing really well. Okay, this is the next installment as we walk through the Nag Hammadi Scriptures, and today we're going to go through the concept of our great power. Really interesting chapter, so I'll just bring it up onto the screen here. Okay, another interesting chapter. It goes into the Gnostic philosophy and the Gnostic beliefs again, touching on the Demiurge and Sophia, as some of the other chapters which were heavily focused on the Gnosticism and early Christian thought and so forth touched on. So we're trying to get through this, but this is a discourse from. It was also known as intellectual perception of understanding. So effectively, it's a discourse from the Great Power himself, which is the Godhead and the Source itself, and effectively going through the passage from flesh to divinity, to flesh to knowing, and it promises invisibility to anyone who knows him. Invisibility, what that really means is that you move past that of the material, flesh, desire-driven material being, and the material aspects or attractions of it don't see you, therefore they no longer become an attraction to you, therefore you become invisible to it. And it goes through the age of flesh, the age of the soul, water, air and fire. Fire is regarded as what is given to darkness or the underworld, and it has some biblical direction within the ages of flesh and soul as well, and recounts kind of the salvation history. So let's move into that now. And by the way, apologies for not picking up people who were in the chat yesterday. I didn't see them, actually. So I tend not to look at that because I don't get a lot of people on, if any, actually, on the live streams, but they do watch them post live stream. Okay, the first one. The first age of flesh begins. This is the first passage. Winds and water moved. Rest also came into being with the entire eon of creation. From the depths came the fire. Power came to be in the midst of the powers. Powers desired to see my image, and soul became a copy of it. So this is saying that it decided to imitate, as we read in previous chapters, the image that they saw in the waters above. This is what came into being. Notice what it is like. Before coming into being, it could not be seen. So this is saying that until we come into physical manifestation, we don't really understand the realities of duality here, and the material, desire-driven experience as it's described. The eon of the flesh came to be in giant bodies. So if you look at some of the early thoughts of beings on the planet, giants were described, and there is talk of skulls and fossil remains of tall giant beings, and this is what this is talking of, pre-flood. Periods of time in creation were assigned. So what it's saying here is that the flesh time was given a certain period of time when it could hold dominance or it could hold power, after which the period of the soul came in, and that is where the conflagration would occur. They became corrupt after entering the flesh. Father of the flesh is regarded as a demiurge or the Antichrist. The water acted in judgment. Father of the flesh holds the angels in subjection. And it talks of Noah about the ark after this. I didn't type any of that up. That one had a thought and planned to save the gods. So remember previous chapters it talked of Noah. Noah was told that there was going to be a flood because the demiurge and the archons imposed that flood upon them and told Noah to build a flood for him and his sons and various other life on the planet, and then take refuge elsewhere. The powers, so this is what it means by plan to save the gods. The gods were the powers, the authorities, and the demiurge. The powers, majesty of all of them, judgment of flesh came to an end. Okay, the second age of the soul follows. Net is the eon of the soul, I must have misspelled that. Entangled with bodies. The first defilement of creation gained strength. Produced all sorts of things. So this was the demiurge, of course, in Gnostic belief. Created all things of wrath, anger, envy, and so it goes on into warfare. Still you sleep and dream dreams. So this is talking of those that exist in the times of the material, which is still relevant to today. Most of this is all relevant to today, although some of the belief systems there and the philosophies there not necessarily espouse to the realities of them, but the nature of what they're telling us is persistent because it's truth. Still you sleep and dream dreams. Wake up, come back, taste and eat the food of truth. This is asking those to come and rediscover the spirit that they are within. Avoid evil lust. Whatever deviates one from who you are, that are unsound. Mother of the fire did not have power. She sent fire upon the soul and the land. She burned all the dwellings. Can find nothing else to burn. This had references to Sodom and Gomorrah in the subtexts from the authors of the book. It could be, it could not be, but it also could be the beings alive at the time. A fire with no body. They burn matter until it has purified everything, including the wicked. It will turn on itself until it consumes itself. Yeah. So for me, this is an important thing to understand. For me, I've always been saying that in my understanding of things, there is both dualities on that exist around us, and we have to choose which direction we wish to take ourselves. But in the end, as we achieve moksha, we discussed this before, which is the release of the cycle of rebirth, because there is rebirth. Where that comes from, how it's imposed, whether it's itself or other, or a misdirection for some, that is another discussion altogether. But in the end, as life evolves, it no longer needs to persist within a material space, nor does it need to experience it. And what then is left are those who prey on others. And the snake eating its own tail, the image of that is what will occur. Those who prey will have to prey on each other. And then those left will prey on each other. And those left will prey on each other. Because in the end, everything always will end up moving into light. When those who are already in light and pursue light have moved, those who prey on them will have nothing more to prey on than to prey onto themselves. So this is what it says: it will turn on itself until it consumes itself, which is exactly what the depth, or what we call misplaced force, or lack of empathy and love, which is evil, will become. This is their own hell, actually. They will create their own hell by consuming themselves. Okay, the revealer comes into the world and is persecuted. This eon of the soul there will come, the human who knows the great power. He will drink from the milk of the mother of the work. He will speak parables. This is referring to Jesus. Proclaim the eon that is to come. He opened the gates of heavens with his own words. So this was the teachings. Remember the teachings? Jesus was not to be worshipped as a god. Is to be, the words are what we are supposed to cascade between each other. So he opened the gates of heaven, in other words, reminding us of our origin. The origin of the breath of the spirit within us, which animates the body. Not the body, not the soul, but the spirit within us is the breath of the divine. And the words and the teachings of Jesus were inherently around love, unity, understanding our true nature, and removing ourselves from worshipping golden calves and so forth at the time. This is what the opening the gates of heavens with his words mean. Put the ruler of the underworld. He raided the dead, which means the raid of the dead. Remember, the dead means those who have moved into illusion and materialism. That is regarded as the dead. To wake up the dead, or rather he raided the dead was to remind those of who they were in their divinity. Therefore they become alive, they rise from the dead. Destroyed the dominion of the ruler. There was a great disturbance. Rulers rose up in wrath against him. Of course, there's persecution. Wanted to give him over to the ruler of the underworld. In other words, wanted to try to move that which was taught, or the eon itself, Jesus, to the material, to drag them into the lustful realm of the desire-driven material world. They knew one of his followers, that is Judas Iscariot, and fire burned in that soul. So Judas Iscariot had fire in his soul, which meant that there was also darkness in the soul. They seized him, brought judgment upon themselves. Okay, the revealer triumphs over the archons and ascends. The ruler of the underworld too took him. He discovered that his flesh was such that it could not be seized and shown to the archons. He kept saying, "Who is this? What is this?" So this is referring to the archons, or those as beings at the time, looking at not understanding what the spirit was that was being ignited, what was these words that were being shared, and not understanding what is this, who is this, not recognizing it because it was alien to the vibration or the frequency of archontic or demiurge, or those who drifted towards inverted force. He is from the word of the power of life, stronger than the command of the rulers. They could not dominate him. They did not know that this was the sign of their demise. Sun went under during the day. Day became dark. He will appear as he is ascending. Blessed will they be who understand what is discussed. They will come to understand truth and found rest in the heavens. And we've discussed a lot of that in previous chapters. Okay. Many follow the revealer and his words. Many will follow him. So this is the revealer, is the Christ consciousness. There's also other revealers around the world. The Buddhic frequencies are revealers of different other truths as well. Krishna consciousness within subcontinent was also another revealer of truth. These are all revealers of truth, but this particular passage is referring to Christ himself. Many will follow him, labor in the regions where they were born, write down his words as they wish. So this for me is important. For me, what this means, write down his words as they wish. Biblical texts of all kinds were written by man. Written by man means, humanity. And therefore, as a generic term for male, female, it's interpreted and translated and then transformed and changed again to the will of those who are writing those texts. So when you read all texts, remember to derive the spiritual meaning of them and not the literal and some of the deviations of what they truly were supposed to say. So don't take anything in its literal sense, in its truest meaning, and into the meaning that we wish that is being cascaded to. Look at it all from spiritual and effectively discern what you're reading. Observe that these eons are gone. How large is the water of the eon that has dissolved? So this is not saying that evil has disappeared, but for me this would really, I relate this back to an individual, or ourselves as individual beings. When the eon is gone from us, we have moved away from that which it wishes to lock us into, the material being that it wishes us to be, or rather the world or the system, whatever we wish to call it, wishes us to be. When we move away from that, we realize how large the water is. Once that relationship with the material within ourselves is gone, that water is weak, it is shallow, it is little. Will people prepare themselves? How will they become indestructible eons? After this proclaims the second eon with the first. What is the second eon? The second eon, the first eon was I would say in this text, as it refers to, is the presence of the Christ consciousness message, driving and illuminating those who are ready to receive, have ears to hear. The second eon is really the second coming, which is each individual becoming that which is being cascaded to us through words and becoming those divine beings that we're supposed to be. Is the second eon, is the second coming. Okay, the archons attack the place where the word first appeared. The Logos, the word, is the teachings, the letter to God, if you like. Then the wrath of the rulers burned, fumed and grew angry at life. The ruler came with the rulers of the west and the east. Cities were shaken. The bird ate and had their fill of their dead. So these were the vultures, people preying on others. When they completed, wickedness increased greatly. The ruler of the west arose. This is talking about an antichrist arising from the west. He will act from the east and teach people his wickedness, and he will be in clothing of dignity. And this again is coming from biblical texts. Okay, the imitator reigns over the earth and leads people astray. Time came when the child grew up. Reached maturity, the ruler sent the imitator to that person. So what this is referring to is that there was an intention to send, I suppose, an infiltrator into the flock that were following the message of Jesus, to know our great power, to try to divert them. He, the demiurge Antichrist, reigned over the whole world. He set his throne. It said, I shall make you God of the world. He will perform signs. The people will turn away and go astray. The follow the imitator will introduce circumcision, pronounce judgment on those from uncircumcision. He sent many preachers. This is just a passage in there. I had many other sentences in there. I didn't write in there, but this is effectively saying there was an antichrist emerging to rule over the world and take it into the fire. The rest of it you can interpret how you wish. Okay, souls are purified as apocalyptic signs appear. When he has completed the time set for the kingdom of the earth, purification of the souls will occur. Wickedness has become stronger than you. Powers will tremble. Rivers will no longer flow. Depths will be laid bare and will lie open. I shall withdraw with all those who know me. Enter in immeasurable light. There is no being of flesh. We will be free, or they will be free. They have the holy garments that fire cannot touch. Next are darkness, wind, short as blink of an eye. He will come to destroy everything. Time is allotted to them. To have power is 1,468 years. So this is the powers, or the archontic, or the authorities as they named the demiurge, was given 1,468 years to, I suppose, take his own flock, its own flock. After which a conflagration, a cosmos will burn and light particles will be freed. This is what this means as per to the interpretations. When the spirit of the soul, the essence of the spirit will start to arise, and that is the time of their demise after this period, which obviously we are well into. When the fire has consumed everything, it will find nothing else to burn. It will extinguish itself. Judgment of fire, which is the second power, will be completed. Again, we referred to this in the previous, passage on the previous slide. It will find nothing else to burn. It will extinguish itself. This is where we talked about the snake eating its own tail. What will be left with is those who devour each other, and they devour others will end up devouring each other until they extinguish themselves. This is going to be in however many millennia needs to occur in human time. But this is what will occur. When all else has elevated beyond, those that have not elevated beyond will remain. They need to devour, and they will start to devour each other and slowly extinguish themselves as a result. Okay, and the final part of this was, then mercy will come. Firmaments will collapse down to the abyss. Children of matter will perish. The moment they will not exist, then will appear the souls, the light of power, immeasurable, the universal, eon of beauty, eon of marriage. That to me is the joining with the divine. It's the marriage of ourselves with ourselves, our true nature, our true I, the true I am. Adorned through Sophia. Remember, Sophia is the eighth heaven, which was cascaded in the Gnostic belief system. Gnostic teachings as Sophia was the eighth heaven over the demiurge and the archontic seventh heaven, which she created. They all have come to be as reflection in his light. They have found rest in his rest. See the holy ones and call out to them. They will see the holy ones. They do not seek us. These are material ones. They have acted in accordance with the creation of the ruler. So they are some who will not seek and never even see what they will seek, because they are still in accordance with the snake eating its own tail. We also have behaved according to our fleshy origins, yet we are the eons who have come to live in the unchangeable eon. So this is essentially saying there are those who will choose a path of rediscovery of their own infinite eternal being, and there are those, no matter what, will remain in the material beings, attracted to all that is material, and ultimately extinguish themselves in the cycle of devouring each other. So that was a pretty short. It was actually quite long to write, but short to read out. And again, the second coming is the second eon, as we've discussed in this video. It is actually you. So become that person. Become that through persistence and faith, and understand yourself through silent meditation. And the real challenge is prayer. Actually, I challenge anyone to pray, because that is a recognition that there's something greater than yourself. It's not just sitting in a room and having mindfulness. It's way beyond that. Is when you actually shift yourself to pray, it shows that, let me put myself back on camera here, sorry about this. It shows that your movement is starting to shift. I know people don't like to. That's up to them. But having settlement and peace in prayer is actually a very powerful thing, because that is where you communicate with that which is in yourself and that which is you see external to yourself, which is all one. The universal I and the I am, the divine grace, pre-existent Father, God, or divine source, whichever you wish to call it. Prayer is a major shift. When you get to that and you're comfortable and you're having those conversations, this is a milestone in that passage of movement. And again, Mahanji does state that you must become what it is that you seek, that is that you practice. Otherwise, various activities and rituals that we perform are just activities that we do for self-righteous, virtuous image that we are spiritual beings, but we're not actually becoming those things. And again, please reach out to me if you need anything. If you feel that I can help in any of your journey at all, offer that service for free. If I've got time, I will make time for anyone who reaches out on the email address or the Facebook Messenger, whichever suits. So I want to say, let me pop that back on here. I want to say thank you for you guys listening to the video today. It was a bit short. I'm trying to do a few more this week, because I was taking a little bit of hiatus, very busy with other things. But say thank you again. I do appreciate all of your time. Please like, share, and subscribe. Not necessarily even subscribe, just share with others who will be interested in seeing the Nag Hammadi videos that I'm making, which are using the Nag Hammadi Scriptures book by Meyer, and the author is a fantastic text. But there's also the videos I've made prior to this, and I'll be making in between, that will also pass on, let's say, just information that I'm sharing that comes from my inner higher self. So I want to say thanks again. Much appreciated for your time. Thank you, and God bless.